my God.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to SportsShack. My name is Brandon Gerard Natali, along with one of my best buddies, Dennis Charles Tui,
Nope.
aka Nope.
No, Christopher.
It's close. Charles, Christopher, you sure? All right.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna try that again. Dennis
It's okay.
Christopher Tui, aka Mr. Tui.
Mr. Tui, yeah.
As he's been telling me his experiences as being a sub over at
Middle school, yeah.
yes. At a
Don't
middle
want to
school,
be
yes.
going around telling people which one. All right. So,
Then you stopped me from that.
yeah. I appreciate some of my anonymity. I'm terrified because I also work at a store in the area. I'm terrified for when I run into my students. Oh, gosh.
Have
When
you?
that happens. Apparently not. And I feel like I'm playing, like a dice rolling game, risk,
Right.
whatever. And it keeps the perfect roll each time. Anytime I see a gaggle of children that are like middle school or high school age, I'm like, oh, please, 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 please. Oh, thank gosh.
I definitely
wonderful.
I have when a couple years ago when I was still working at the Quick Check. I'm not going to say which one. There is actually a decent amount of Quick Checks throughout the island. But I remember actually like these kids came in. I was working to register. I rang them up, and they actually did recognize me. I didn't, and it wasn't until I said something because like I said, I'm one of the most friendly people you talk to. So I talk to anybody, and I was like, y'all look familiar. So y'all go to like so and so, and they're like, yeah, they're like, we know who you are. I'm like, hey, like what's up, man? Like, and I don't know, that's really it. Just going about my business, but no, like it's rare that like someone would like recognize you. I don't know. I haven't really had that experience really, like where I'm out and like they recognize me from outside because I do have other jobs that I'm not at the middle school. But haven't had any where like they see me outside of middle school because I know we work in the same building. I'm not gonna say which building. I don't know if I ever really said that on here, but yeah, no. So it's funny though if you ever run into people like Mr. Tui, like, what's up, man?
I'm also super overdressed when I teach and super underdressed everywhere else.
Yeah, I see you. You come in already, take care of business, like like the FBI. You come in. I mean, you look good though. Like a nice suit and tie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I gotta start wearing another tie though. Keep wearing the same red one.
You don't wear like
I have other ties.
You want to wear like a flannel or like a cardigan, like the Busso cardigan.
I'm not a cardigan guy. You can't be fat and have a cardigan.
Oh please.
Oh please. Come on, it's true.
You're not a cardigan guy.
I don't know why my mom didn't think I could just heat this up later. All right.
I love that. You ever seen Dumb and Dumber where he's like, pull over? He's like, oh, you ever seen Dumb and Dumber? Really? That shocks me. I would have thought you would have seen that before.
Not the full thing and not in a long time.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I know. Because there's a scene where he's like, they get pulled over, and he's like, cop on the motorcycle's like, pull over. He's like, what? Pull over. And he's like, no, it's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing. And that was funny. I gotta watch it. I love this movie. Obviously, Jim Carrey, one of my favorite actors. No, not Jeff Bennett. I know the guy. I just can't think of the name.
You'll get there. I do remember the name of the other guy.
Something Bennett.
It's Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels, yes. I know the name. I can't believe I couldn't get that. Because I know Jeff Daniels. Except for one of my favorite actors.
I could tell.
But obviously a lot going on in sports. I'm sorry that we couldn't be able to record over these past couple of weeks. I know, life gets in the way and obviously we got to make work for it. So obviously, and that's not an issue, there's been a lot going on in the sports world. Obviously, the Mets didn't make the playoffs. As if they had another collapse in their franchise, I'm not shocked. But honestly, like I've said it plenty of times, Dennis, we didn't deserve it. We really didn't deserve it. The pitching collapsed. They weren't hitting. They weren't coming in clutch. They were just losing games. It was unwatchable. I'm not gonna lie. I not that I wasn't paying attention, but like every time I turned them on, they were always losing. So it just wasn't fun to watch, and it was making me more upset. Especially the Marlins, the team who apparently they got nothing better to do with their lives, but obviously, of course, try to ruin the Mets' lives and acting like it was their World Series. And actually, and it's crazy. Like, I have a lot of energy now that we just obviously we talk for an hour, but like I feel like it was
Yeah, I
energy
know.
conversation, which I'm saying I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying it got me a lot of energy. Um, like I said, the Marlins obviously franchise that I can't say they don't have anything to prove. They have 2 World Series and they have one more in the past 40 years. But it's like the way the season ended. It's like I get it, but it's like you really had nothing better to do than to kind of showboat in front of the dugout the way the Mets did. I'm not granted, I don't think what they were doing was more of that. I think they were just because I know they had a good end of the season. They got a good young core. They got a good manager. The Marlins do have a bright future. And I feel like I'm talking like a lot of mumbo jumbo here, but it's just the Marlins really, I think, taking it too much. Where it's like you really knocked us out and you making that like it's your Super Bowl. Like, okay, sure, go ahead, whatever makes you happy. I mean, but also shame on the Mets because it's like at the same time, season's on the line. That's really all you got to show for it. Really, losing 4-0. Come on.
Hey, listen, I understand it bothered a lot of Mets fans. It ruffled their feathers. I stand by it. As a Marlins fan, I stand by it. The Marlins are like my little brother team. I love the Marlins. I
Yeah,
love my Yankees more. We'll get to them in a bit. But
you
my
love.
Marlins, bro. Listen, you're the Mets. You're the big bad Mets. You got the big bad payroll. And let's be honest, you get humiliated to end the season by the team that has the lowest payroll, that has a bunch of guys they called up, that was directionless, that people kind of wrote off and stuff like that. They ended the year hot. You guys ended the year cold. And it was, listen, if they want to celebrate it, like, hey, look what we were able to do. We are able to rally and what? Just because we're out, we have to hand you a playoff spot? No, earn it. And the Mets didn't earn it. They had every opportunity in the world this season. They didn't earn it. They did not win a single game in the season that they were trailing after the eighth inning or later. They did not win a single one.
Yeah, one of those 66 games.
That's
Oh,
a
and
stat
66.
that everybody's been talking about. 0-66, the only team in baseball. But when you miss the playoffs by one game, where should we start? Excuse me. So, where should we start?
Yeah.
Who had the offseason everybody talked about? Well, you got Juan Soto. Now I know their starting pitching was a disaster. I think that should have been predictable. And I think David Stearns learned a very, very, very important lesson. This ain't the NL Central, buddy. This is not the NL Central. The Nationals and Marlins, if you put them in the NL Central, suddenly I don't think they're as bad as we think they are.
Yeah, no,
In
it's
my opinion.
yeah.
And I'd
Yeah.
still be, rooting for the Brewers right now with the Yankees out. So I'm not trying to piss anybody off by saying that, but come on, there's levels to this.
No, hey,
And
yeah.
can't, you're not going to sit here and say Kodai Senga, who's constantly day to day or on the IL. Shomania coming off an injury, no rehab starts. Go ahead, be our ace. Peterson, who had injuries, McGill, who had issues, and then you call up Tunga, who sucked. And at one point, the only person on the roster who was decent was the other rookie, whose name I'm forgetting about because the Mets have been eliminated for so long. He pitched 3 games. Help me out here. Mick something. Irish cat. What was his name? McLean. Noel McLean.
Nolan McLean, yeah.
Not good enough. Not good enough. And the other thing, last year, it seemed like all those close games, they won. This year, they didn't have the same kind of spark plugs in the lineup. I know that sounds weird. It's like, what are you talking about? They had Alonso. They had last year. It wasn't those guys that were making the big plays all the time. Lindor and Alonso. Listen, obviously Alonso hit the big home run against the Brewers, and we remember all that. But if you remember, a lot of their rallies, what started it? It would be Jesse Winker. It would be Iglesias. It would be guys like that. It would be, I keep forgetting the name of, dude, I haven't thought of the Mets in so long. I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm forgetting this.
Harrison Bader.
No, Tyrone Taylor. It would be guys like that. The scrappy guys. JD Martinez.
Yeah.
Bet you wish you had him. It would be those kinds of guys getting the table set for that top of the lineup. And then that's where the pressure came. It's like when your 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters are making plays or having productive outs, sack flies, moving runners over, whatever, and then lineup turns over, and now you got to go up against Lindor and Alonso. And, the heavy hitters, they didn't have that. They didn't have the same magic. I know that's cheesy, but they didn't have the same. Watching the Mets this year, they didn't have the same fun. They didn't have the same spirit.
It was definitely different from last year. Definitely. Because like you said, all the players you just mentioned, Jesse Winker. We had Jesse Winker.
But he was hurt the whole year.
He was hurt the whole year. Beginning of the year, I remember he had a walk-off sac fly. But at the same time, he was hurt. JD Martinez, who obviously he slumped a little bit. He got off to a great start, but then he was slumping a little bit. But still, the leadership, he was coming through for them when they needed him to. And he was also there to bring leadership and obviously mentorship to some of the young hitters. And obviously, the big player right there, Jose Iglesias, who brought the energy and the fire, not just the OMG, but he was actually a good hitter. He was hitting 330. For the only 89 games he played, he was hitting 330. How do you not bring that back? And Harrison Bader definitely had great defense, and he was a decent hitter. He was a good player, and definitely it was upsetting. Obviously, it sucked. He was on the Twins, but then he obviously got traded to the Phillies, and he helped them helped them win the division. That could have been us. So it's just like you said. A lot of you hit it on the nail. A lot of the players that they had last year, they didn't come back. And I don't want to say they used Juan Soto as the way to be like, hey, like who cares? We got Juan Soto. Like, yeah, but you also let go of a lot of your pitching. They let go of Luis Severino. Like they should have. I wanted him back. I didn't like how they kind of let him go. But like I said, should have brought back Iglesias, Martinez. I get it. You had the young hitters, but the young hitters didn't improve. They didn't come up. They didn't prove to be what they were. Luis Angel Acuna, he didn't show out. Ronnie Mauricio, he's another question mark. There's a lot of question marks. There's just, like you said, they just didn't. It definitely was a different Mets from last year, and I hope they find ways to bring at least some of those players back. I would love Jose Iglesias. I would love for them to bring him back. Another backup, good locker room guy. They also got to see if they're going to bring Alonso back, and that's a whole nother topic. But definitely maybe Harrison Bader, bring some, good in center field. People saying it's the Dodgers and Mets are going to go after Kyle Tucker. Really? We're going to sign another outfielder to an expensive amount of contract? Are you kidding me? Let's see.
If I'm the Mets, I'm looking at starting pitching. I'm not even looking at anything else.
No,
I'm looking at starting pitching, or I'm looking at a first baseman if you don't know what's going on with Alonso.
I don't know if they're going to do anything with Ryan Clifford. I don't know, people looking at him like he's supposed to be the replacement. But like I said, they definitely at least sign one starting pitcher. And I'm not saying go out and get like a Corbin Burns or like a Screwball, that's another topic. But I feel like the reason why Stearns was the way he was with the pitching is because I feel like he was relying on the young prospects, like the Tong, the McLeans, the Sprouts. No, I can't. But I feel like that's why
I disagree. If that was the case, they would have called them up before the last 3 weeks of the season, when their team was already free falling.
So they kind of were just free falling in general. They just kind of wanted to do it right. They were so desperate, and that's also not good because you potentially ruin the development of these pitchers.
Yep, it was stupid. They had the opportunity to call them up sooner. They had the opportunity to make moves at the trade deadline. They didn't do it. I don't know why, but they didn't do it. I disagree with you, by the way, with saying they should have brought back Luis Severino. The A's overpaid for him. I don't think you need to match the offer or pay more. I thought that was fine to let it go, but they didn't replace him with anything.
No, they didn't.
And I understand, Matt, some people, some loyalists might say, well, Griffin Canning got hurt or whatever. It's Griffin Canning. We're not talking about, an all-star here. We're talking about, well, we'll see. Maybe he can pan out. And Clay Holmes is another, we'll see if he can pan out. You can only have so much of that, so many of those question marks on your roster before you get the answers you don't want. But I don't know. I think we're good on the Mets. I don't know. I know you went off to the side there, but I'm ready to start bashing my Yankees now. The Mets, they got a lot of work to do. And Edwin Diaz might be a free agent too, so they got to figure something out here because I don't know. It's not looking good.
Hey, you know what? Like I said, just definitely they definitely need to sign a starting pitcher. It's good that it's good that McLean looks good. Sprout. I would keep Tong in the minors for as long as they can, because obviously you don't want to ruin his development. That's what I'm worried. That's what I'm worried about. So we'll see. But it's definitely going to be an interesting off season for the Mets. Hold on 1 second. I like to see, like I said, just my thing. What they need to do is worry about the pitching, get the bullpen settled. First off, they got to put the coaching together. I know they just brought in a coach, Jeff something. That's what his name is. So they finally have a hitting coach. I believe he was in this system. Jeff Parson tweeted out. He said the Mets director of hitting development, Jeff Albert, will be in charge of the Major League's team's hitting program. He will obviously fill the void of the firings of hitting coaches Jeremy Barnes and Eric Chavez. So, so that's, obviously promoting from within. Obviously, they're going to be looking at prospects like Jett Williams, Ryan Clifford. So, hey, so and obviously they need to fill the pitching roles and stuff like that. So, yeah. But enough of the Mets. So the Yankees. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Had a great series against the Red Sox. It was a good series.
It wasn't great. We played sloppy. We won't sloppy. That's okay. Move on.
You sure?
But I wasn't thrilled about the Red Sox series. Move on. Cam Schlittler looked great, and then Serrano happened, and it's just
that was a whopping series.
It was an embarrassment. It was so pathetic.
Game 3 was good, and also Game 4. That was kind of when it came. That's when it came down. That's what it came down.
Listen, I could talk to you about this, and it's so easy. When you look at the Blue Jays, right? The 2025 Blue Jays, they are a balanced lineup. The most amount of home runs they hit this season was 32 by George Springer. George Springer is a great player. We know George Springer is a great player, and that's fine. But the rest of their team, Alejandro Kirk, the catcher, hit 282 in the regular season. Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit 292. Andres Jimenez, glove first, infielder, 210. All right, fine, you could live with that. 311 by Bo Bichette before he got injured. 243 by Addison Barger. 234 by Davis Schneider. Dalton Varsho hit 238. 255 by Nathan Lucas. George Springer, 309 with a 161 OPS plus. Their backup catcher, Taylor Heineman, had a 114 OPS plus, a 289 batting average. Ernie Clement, who came in and played a lot of games with Bo Bichette out, hit 277. And the regular season has been lighting the playoffs on fire for the most part. And it's just, they're a balanced team. And every single year the Yankees lose, we could talk this, that, and the other. It's always because every other lineup we play is more balanced. Their guys get on base more. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And the starting pitching for the Yankees is not good. It's not good enough, I should say. Garrett Cole's coming back next year. That can help solve some of the problems, but I was not impressed in the Blue Jays series. Max Fried was supposed to be our ace. He sucked. Carlos Rodon sucked. Cam Schlittler sucked. Luis Hill wasn't that good either. But Luke Weaver just happened to be worse, so he kind of could skate by a bit. It was still winnable when Luis Hill left the game. Game one. Bullpen needs to be completely rebuilt as well. So many holes on this Yankees roster. And like I said, the lineup needs to be changed too. Anthony Volpe, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know.
I feel bad.
But offensively, 11 out of 15 of his last plate appearances were strikeouts. Can't have it. Can't have it. As I eat my steak.
I feel bad for the kid. I don't know.
I feel bad for him too, because at this point it's a disservice to leave him on the team. I'm not saying you got to trade him or whatever. Send him down to the minors or do something in the offseason to get him right.
Why did they keep him up?
He was unwatchably bad this season. He really was. And defensively, he regressed drastically as well. I mean, he was irredeemably bad at all facets.
Then
seems like a nice kid. I'm not saying that to bash on him or to get clicks or no. But let's stop this problem before it becomes a problem. This is what happens with the Yankees. They either hang on to guys too long or they don't try to correct the mistakes when they can. This happened with Clint Frazier. This happened with Devi Garcia. If we want to talk about pitching, Del Matanzas looked really good when he started to struggle, and then he just collapsed for the Yankees. Miguel Andujar, they used to jerk around all the time. He'd be up in the majors, nope, then back in the minors, then he'd be killing in the minors, nope, not in the majors. Oh, he's in the majors for 2 days. He can't get right. Now he's being sent back down. And now what's he doing? Oh, he went to the A's and hit over 300, then went to the Reds and hit over 300 too. That's nice. Do you see where I'm getting at here? The Yankees front office is stupid. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of every single game, every single season ending because our front office can't get their crap together. Go on.
It's definitely a weird system that they got going on, especially you just said everything right there. And I saw that Clint Frazier was actually hanging in the bleacher section for one of the games. I think the game 3. It was game 3. Yeah, it was game 3. I think it was game 4. Okay.
Both of them.
Okay. So, it's definitely a weird system they got going on. I don't know what it is. Is it stubbornness or is it just like rushing the players? Like what's the need to like, I don't understand. Like, rushing these players and just putting them out there like that instead of trying to fix them and get them right. Because I feel like the Mets do that. The players struggling, they send them down to the minors. They send Alvarez down. Alvarez was actually like playing up to par to what he should be, to his potential. But then obviously, of course, injuries kind of happen and he's not the same. Kodai Senga, they actually sent him down to the minors and he actually didn't come up the rest of the season. They kept him down there. I don't know if they were kind of saving him for the playoffs. I don't even think he was looking as good as he should. But like I said, I don't know with the Yankees. I don't get it with the front office. Was it instead of letting these people hang and dry to suffer, they kind of let them take the heat, and then the media and all the fans they're attacking them instead of kind of taking ownership and blame. Like, hey, we made a mistake. Let's fix the problem before it gets worse. And you look at what's going on with Volpe. He was dubbed the next Derek Jeter. Now the Yankee fans have kind of turned on him, and I'm sorry, I really got you going right there.
That was the first mistake.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, and I'm not trying to make anybody uncomfortable or anything like that. If his name was Tommy Callahan, this never would have happened. Let's be honest. The second he started showing error, mistakes, and stuff like that, instead of trying to correct it, they left him on the big leagues because every single Italian guy in New York wanted him to work out so badly, and they didn't want to send him down. That's it. We all know that's why. We know it because they've shown in the past to be impatient with people like Miguel Andujar. They've shown in the past that they can send down and call up guys like Estevan Florial. Never worked out in the bigs, but that's okay. Not for him, but I mean, like in general, it happens. But instead of trying to correct the problems and correct the fundamentals and whatnot, they just kept trying to force the square peg in the round hole. And they were too patient. They were too patient. Then you trade for Caballero. Okay, fine. And he's the best base stealer in the league. And we're not starting him. It's like, well, maybe you want to pinch run him too. It's like, why? So I could steal one base in the game before we take him out. When I could pinch run somebody else with Anthony Volpe and start Caballero, who's objectively better. What am I missing?
No, yeah.
What am I missing? And like the Anthony Volpe stuff, like I think that's the problem with the fan favorite thing and why I get so heated when people are like, he was supposed to be the next Derek Jeter. No, he wasn't.
It's supposed to be Anthony Volpe.
You can't, right. You can't say that he's supposed to be the next Derek Jeter. You mean the best offensive shortstop of all time aside from A-Rod? Or Hannes Wagner? No pressure. Are we kidding?
No, yeah, that's
because he grew up a Yankees fan. Be realistic. Not every single center fielder for the Mariners is the next Ken Griffey Jr. Not every first baseman for the Mets is the next Keith Hernandez. Not every right fielder is Darryl Strawberry
or Aaron Judge.
Like, be realistic.
No, yeah.
Be realistic.
Well, hopefully,
and a lot of it's on the New York media being stupid with the Yankees. I mean, it's just what they love. WFAN will love to just chase their tail for however many hours there are in a week. Be realistic.
No, hey, like I said,
they could let the kid develop. Oh, now you kept trying to rush him, and now his development is ruined. Oh, wow, that's nice. I'm sure he's really appreciative about that.
Hopefully he can put it together real quick, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
What pisses me off now, we spent so much time on the Mets, I got to get this off my chest. This team finished better. Pisses me off about the Yankees, too. The guys that did pan out for them were not supposed to pan out for them.
Like?
They didn't think Ben Rice was going to be anything special.
Aaron Judge wasn't supposed to be...
Aaron Judge, when the baby bombers came up, who was that? Gary Sanchez, Tyler Austin, Greg Bird, Tyler Wade. Aaron Judge was just like, he's this big guy, this big slugger that don't really know what his future is and whatnot, but he's a big guy who can hit. We'll see what he can do.
And yeah, sure, he can hit all right.
Cam Schlittler, I don't think they had high expectations for either. When Luke Weaver was at his best, they didn't have high expectations for him. He was the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball, and then he turned it around. Now he's back. But, it's a lot of those guys on the team that have actually done well were not the guys they expected to do well. And the guys they did expect to do well, like Volpe and Austin Wells, have been very finicky.
Right. But anyways, let's talk about the playoffs so far. Let's fast forward now to the AL and NLCS, since it's kind of where we're at. The Mariners, the other game the other night was pretty good. Game 1, I forgot who's pitching for Toronto. It was Kevin Gausman. I know it was 6-inning, 2-2 pitch with 2 outs, and Kyle Raleigh proved why he should get the MVP this year, and kind of just tied the game up right there and then. And I feel like it kind of set the tone for the Mariners in the rest of the series so far. And I know yesterday they won 10-3, and they keep going as I hiccup. And the Dodgers, actually, that's going to be a good series. Milwaukee's team that's actually looking to, Milwaukee's kind of dying for a championship, especially, beating the Cubs. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Definitely all these teams are deserving, But I honestly, in the end, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers are going to be hanging on top of the World Series championship.
With the talent on the Dodgers roster, this is theirs to lose.
Okay.
There's really no excuse for them to lose. I'm rooting for the Mariners at the Brewers, but come on.
The Mariners.
Sasaki hasn't given up a run out of the pen yet. Blake Snell looked electric yesterday. Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Will Smith, Mookie Betts. These guys would all be the best player on so many rosters. Come on.
Uh, either way, like I said, it's going to be the Mariners are definitely. I think if anybody out of all these, whether you Toronto or Seattle, they're definitely really good teams. I guess that's Toronto's kind of well balanced lineup, great players, and Vlad Guerrero is definitely proven up to his contract. Seattle's definitely got a good team too. They got the pitching, they got the hitting. Definitely tough teams to play against. So I think when it's all said and done, I like Seattle's chances right now, but Seattle, versus Los Angeles, that's a good matchup to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I actually think all four of these are pretty good because I feel like the Brewers are a bit of a mirror match for the Mariners. I feel like the Dodgers obviously have all the stars, and you want to root against them or for them if you're fans of the star players. And the Blue Jays are a team that, like, weirdly, Schneider's going to probably get AL Manager of the Year. He shouldn't. I think even in the series is showing that there's just kind of stupid decisions being made. I I said it on my college radio show. I actually think he's the worst manager in the AL East. Orioles notwithstanding, because they don't have a manager yet. But between Kevin Cash, Cora, Boone, and Schneider, I can't imagine anybody saying he's not the worst. They had a stupid challenge yesterday that they weren't even close to getting. I don't know what that was about with the Eugenio Suarez in the dugout. Beyond idiotic to challenge that. I thought they took out Kevin Gausman too early. You already are short on pitching. Like, I don't. Part of me is almost like the Blue Jays are happy to be in the playoffs, but haven't realized, like, dude, you can win the championship. Like, they're burning bullpen pieces. The Mariners are getting a lot of looks at their relievers. Oh, and then what happens yesterday? It's the 3-3 gridlock, and then the game explodes. And listen, their starting rotation had a lot of injuries. Chris Bassett hasn't played yet in the playoffs. Barrios hasn't played yet in the playoffs. Scherzer was left off the roster completely because he was bad in the regular season. I think I would still have Scherzer, just even if it's in a long relief role or something like that. You have a guy that's going to be on the mound who's been there before. I get it. That's not for everybody, but it's something to consider. They don't have they're running out of pitching. And you could get away with that in a best 3 out of 5 series, a best 4 out of 7 when that bullpen has already been stretched so thin against the Yankees. And now you're coming in against a team like the Mariners that actually is a pretty well balanced lineup, which the Yankees aren't. It's a different animal. To lose 2 games at home, I think this is going to be a sweep for the Mariners. And I expect it to look more like game 2 than game 1. I don't think it's going to be close. Especially now that the guys that the Mariners needed to get hot, like Josh Naylor, postseason player throughout his career, Randy Man, Arozarena, dude, great in the WBC when he was on Tampa Bay. He was great in the playoffs every year, dragged them to a World Series in 2020. That's not the guy you want heating up if you're going against them. And Julio Rodriguez is basically just living on base at this point. I feel like he's gotten on base every at bat against them and the previous round against the Tigers. He's like living on base. You're going to need a lot more than Vlad Guerrero and George Springer. And the Mariners could throw a lot of pitchers at you. Yankees couldn't do that. Yankees bullpen is a joke. Mariners, they're not making the same dumb mistakes. Brewers and Dodgers is more of, I think, closer than people realize. I think people have written off the Brewers a little too early because, like, oh, they're a typical NL Central team. They're going to get, trounced by the Dodgers. I don't think that's true. I think it's going to be closer than people realize. I think their series is going to look a lot more like last night. Game 2 starts at 8, so we'll see. But I don't know. I'm not writing off the Brewers either.
All right, we'll see. I'm definitely interested. I'm excited. See how the series goes. I feel like when it's all said and done, I feel like it's going to be Seattle, Los Angeles. That's my prediction in the World Series. What about you?
I think you're right, but I'm rooting for the Brewers.
No, the Brewers are a good story, and they got a lot of good energy. The fan base is craving for a World Series championship. They don't have it, right? They don't. They've never won, right?
Brewers, they only went once back in '82, and the Mariners have never made the World Series.
Yeah,
The Mariners are the only team in baseball that have never made the World Series.
and 2 games away. To think of that, the last time they really were any relevant was 2001. We were in
Yeah.
diapers still.
Hmm.
So
And it's funny. If you heard when they retired Ichiro's number this year, he gave a speech about this year's Mariners have an opportunity to do what no other Mariners team could. They have the opportunity to win a World Series. Seize the moment. Kept telling them in this speech, seize the moment. You have this golden opportunity. You have a really good roster. You may not get another chance. I'm speaking from experience. You may not get another chance. And the team listened. The
that's
team
why
listened.
it sucks when I hate seeing the parts where they any team when they lose and the camera's always pointing to the players like obviously celebrating and then you see the winning and then you see the losing side where you see the players leaned up against the in the dugout and they're just watching the team celebrate just crushing just in defeat. Same thing in the Super Bowl. I remember one time watching Josh Norman who was crying on the bench. As the Broncos beat them because it's like you lost the chance. You had an opportunity to win something pretty big or get to somewhere, and like you might not ever get that again. Look at my not to bring it to football, for instance, but look at my Jets. It's been 17. It's been 15 years, Dennis. 15 years since I last seen my team in the playoffs. Like who would have thought, that was going to be the last time they're going to be in it. I remember one
I'm
time watching in 2009. I remember when they lost to the Colts in the championship game. I remember I ran. Peyton Manning made me run upstairs to my room crying. Just watching them lose. So when I meet him, I'm gonna tell him that. I'll be like, but like I said, it's just and then looking back at 2010, it's like you just don't, like look at the bill, So like I said, it's just like you just don't know when you have that other opportunity again, you know. So that's why
yeah.
it's big.
I mean, I'm not trying to um, you know, piss you off or anything like that.
Okay.
But think of Seattle. 2001 and they didn't make the playoffs again until 2023 or 2022. 2022, I think.
2022.
Listen, 2001, they had the winningest record in Major League Baseball. They set the win record. Nobody thought they weren't making the playoff. They were going to miss the playoffs in '02. Surely this team would be able to right the ship in '03. It's not, tomorrow is not guaranteed in these leagues, man. So hopefully Seattle or Milwaukee, they can make the most of it. Every time, every year in the playoffs, we always expect all the teams to be back there the next year, and it's we know it's not going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, my Yankees could get it going right, and our World Series drought. But even then, we talk about all these droughts and stuff like that. Suddenly, '09 is not that bad. But oh
Yeah.
well.
Um, real quick on football because I actually do gotta go in a bit. Your G-men. One shout out Jackson Dart, of course. The New York Giants on last Thursday night. They look good. They look good. They gained my respect. Listen, Jackson Dart, he looked good. Cam Scatterboo, he looks like a stud. Definitely another fan favorite for the Giants. My advice to him, I'd be a little careful. I don't want him to take too many hits. I don't like the CTE jokes. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of those types of jokes. But like I said, Cam Scattergood just got to be careful with the hits. But besides that, um, he's a dominant player who knows how to truck and just brings energy and just moxie to the Giants locker room, to the Giants team. And was a great running back at college for Arizona State University, and is definitely better than a Peyton Hillis. He definitely can play like a Christian McCaffrey if he wanted to, or play like a Mike Allstott, or play like a Brandon Jacobs if you want to compare it to another Giant.
Brandon
Hard
Jacobs.
hitting player. Jacobs I think was taller, but either way, like Cam Scatterwood plays like a Brandon Jacobs. With just, I'm trying to think of another comparison. Maybe like a Zeke.
Elliott?
I could see it, especially
No.
the size and the strength.
I always remembered Zeke Elliott being more of like a quick guy.
Well,
Scottaboo just I think Scottaboo, if any another like current player in the league, he reminds me a bit of Derrick Henry. Just not as like
I did think that.
breakout, could
I
just
don't know.
run through people like Derrick
I
Henry
don't know.
because he's not that big.
Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry.
But what I'm saying is the physicality. He's a lot more physical than a lot of these other more like elusive running backs. Is that
He's
good or bad?
Who
Who knows?
C-Mac is pretty big, but I know what you're saying. He's kind of Cam Scatterwood definitely has more size built to him. That's why I like the Brandon Jacobs and the McCaffrey comparison. That's what I think of him. But no, and I just they look good. I don't know what's going on with the Eagles right now. What pissed me off a lot of that night was definitely when they did 4 straight tush pushes. When they were scoring their second touchdown, I think. And like I said, that's why a tush push should be banned. And that's another argument, but it definitely was annoying. It's just that's all they kept doing, and they finally they scored, but it just was annoying because it's like, do something else, will you? Like, come on. But I don't know what's going on with them. The passing game finally got going. What the Giants were able to do, they were able to stop the run, and obviously they had to lead them the pass, and the Giants just took advantage. Jackson Dart, of course, we got to talk about him. He looked really good. I like the energy that he brings. He was making good decisions, good reads. They're scoring. Another thing too, again, like I said, I got knocked the Giants on is Brian Daboll. When he was in the medical tent, he was getting examined for a concussion dart. Brian Daboll kind of inappropriately kind of went in the tent and was kind of like rushing the doctors to kind of get it going, just to get him back out there. I like that the league kind of stepped in and kind of fined him for that, and it's good that Daboll did admit that was a bit. Not a bit much. That was bad and wrong to do. So I'm glad he kind of owned up to that. But like I said, I'm glad Dart is okay. Nothing happened to him. And like I said, Giants got a good quarterback. I hope they keep it going. And then like I said, they got a good thing going. My thing, I just don't hope they don't ruin him and all that. Like I said, it's beating the Eagles was definitely big. That was huge, especially on Thursday Night Football. They probably would have beat the Saints had it not been for the 5 turnovers. But again, like I said, back to Brian Daboll, this is Jackson Dart is this guy. This is the guy he's wanted. This is the guy he drafted. He wanted to develop. It didn't work with Daniel Jones, but obviously maybe it can work with Jackson Dart. So, like I said, they got a good thing going. I just hope they keep it going. And like I said, it sucks that they don't have Malik Neighbors, but the fact that they're able to win and obviously keep developing him without a star receiver like that says a lot. So, like I said, good for the Giants, and I just hope they keep it going. Denver's going to be a big test. The Jets almost beat them. Don't really want to talk about them much this time, but but no, like I said, I just hope they keep it going. And Denver's going to be a big test. Patrick Surtain, he's probably going to be looking to intercept. He's not going to make his life. He's not going to make his life easy. I know if Darius Slayton is playing, I know he might as well be locked up on an island with Patrick Surtain the whole time because I don't think he's going to get anything. But like I said, that's it. That's all I got to say about the Giants.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they didn't just beat the reigning Super Bowl champions, they embarrassed them 34-17, and Saquon Barkley looked horrible. The Giants they kept him. He didn't even get 60 yards rushing. And I hear what you said about the tush push, 4 straight tush pushes. I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. However, I also don't think it should be banned, and for a lot of reasons, but we won't get into that. Maybe another day. And the Eagles, I kind of feel like they're frauds. They had to air the ball out. Jalen Hurts did, and they weren't good enough on a Giants defense that is really good at getting sacks and pass rushing, but certainly beatable. I mean, Spencer Rattler got his first win of the season against them and looked very good in the first half of that game. But I don't know. Not impressed with the Eagles so far. I think out of all the teams the Giants have played so far this year, I think the Chargers and Eagles look like the worst. I know it's like we're losing the games you won, but
Those are some pretty big. I don't know. I kind of disagree. Those are kind of some big wins right there. The
no,
Eagles.
I know. But what I'm saying is like it's more of a kind of a knock on the Eagles. Like I feel like they took the Giants way too lightly, and by the time they realized the Giants were here to play, too late. It's on Nick Sirianni. There is zero reason for them to have lost that game. But I mean, come on, for them to double your score, this Giants team should not be putting up 34 points on anybody. No Malik Neighbors, no Darius Slayton. Come on. You had Wan'Dale Robinson and Daniel Bellinger cooking you like hibachi. And then when they weren't doing it, Cam Scatterbo, this once great Eagles defense, was ran through like an empty turnstile.
Right.
So I'd say I hope they figure it out, but I don't. Screw them. Screw Nick Sirianni. And I'm sick of Saquon Barkley. I was on his side when he went to the Eagles. I was like, hey, you know what? If they're going to lowball you, but he keeps saying, like, I would have taken a pay cut. Shut up. No, you wouldn't have.
Hey,
If you would have, if you would have, you would have. Okay, stop it. Stop it. It's like I'm a squirrel brain reality TV fan. Love Survivor. Love Big Brother. It's like when people don't own their game at the end. What are you saving it for? Everybody knows. Everybody would respect him more if he just said the Eagles offered me more money, so I went there. What, it had nothing to do with the fact that they offered you more money? No, nothing at all. Give me a break.
Look, like I said, the Giants. Like I get it, but if they really wanted him to stay, they should have paid him. It's more talk, less action. I watched the documentary, the Saquon documentary on Amazon Prime. It's a pretty good documentary. It shows a lot of he kind of journaled a lot of like the past 5 years. Him when he went for his first, when he tore his ACL in 2020, and then obviously making this, talks about how discussions in the first off season when Daniel Jones got the extension and they tagged him. It revealed obviously he demanded a trade, and John Mara kind of said on the phone that not like we don't want to do that. And, valuable to you're valuable to the franchise. Well, if he's valuable to the franchise, then pay him what he deserves. But obviously, things didn't work out, and Saquon was finally able to test the market, and the Eagles gave him most opportunity, most money.
Yeah, that's fine. But then don't turn around before the week, whatever game, week six, right? The week 6 game and be like, when asked about it, say like, yeah, I would have considered taking a pay cut. I would have taken a pay cut. Yeah. Own it. Own it. You're not going to take a pay cut. You're going to get the most amount of money you deserved because you're the best running back in the league and you deserved it. Am I wrong?
No, I mean you kind of said it best. You kind of said it best. You kind of, but like I said, it's the Saquon and Giants stuff. You got to understand it. It's gonna get every time they play each other. For as long as Saquon's playing, probably for a long time, it's gonna get talked about a lot. The fact that and that what he did, signing with the division rival, almost could have broke the rushing title, rushed for 2,000 yards, won a Super Bowl. It's not gonna get talked down, and not this. It's a lot, sure, but like it's definitely gonna get talked about a pretty decent amount. But hey, either way, good for the Giants. Eagles got to get this stuff together. They got to get this shit together. I don't know what's going on. The passing game, they need to expand on that. Come on. You got 2 stud receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Come on. But on to other news. No, it's Patrick Mahomes looks good. Obviously saw that at the end of the game with that fight with Juju Smith-Schuster and Brian Branch. That was crazy. That's shit. He could have shook Patrick Mahomes' hand. At least have some respect. Don't be a clown. Come on, Brian Branch. And I never realized Brian Branch is kind of more of a, I don't want to say a headache, but he's had some fines. He has had some issues. Like, that's not good. You got to clean that up. Someone in Detroit's got to say to him, like, hey, guy, you got to calm down a bit. What else? I know Baker Mayfield looks like Baker Mayfield definitely looks really good. I hope he finds a way to win the MVP. Tampa Bay's off to a great start. What else? Joe Flacco actually looked pretty good. I don't know if you saw. Jamar Chase finally had a good game. I'm interested to see how Joe Flacco's going to play now for the rest of the season. This Thursday night's going to be a great game. Joe Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers. I'm excited to watch that.
Let's see.
We'll see. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
My prediction of the Pats winning the division, I think, is going to come to fruition. I think the Pats are winning. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah, you know what? Drake May looked pretty good. Drake May did look really good.
They have the tiebreaker. They got it on the road.
It's amazing what coaching and just organizational change does for a quarterback. And when they hit on the right quarterback, Drake May obviously was very talented coming out of college. Gerard Mayo and that coaching staff, it just didn't work out. But, obviously this coaching staff is definitely doing things way different than the previous staff, what Gerard Mayo is doing. Drake May is looking like a top 10 quarterback. He's looking like a stud. Throwing deep shots like it's nothing, completing them, and obviously some of them got taken away, but he's just looking good, and obviously leading the Patriots. I'm Mike Vrabel, so they got a good coaching staff. And in terms of the Jets, I would, if Justin Fields is going to look like the way he did, then obviously they should consider benching him. They should. I think Glenn probably should have tried to take him out somehow in the middle of the game, like in at least the fourth quarter. Because you have an opportunity to get your first win, you should have took advantage of that. Because now you don't have Gail Wilson now for the next couple of weeks, and schedule's not going to get any better. I know things have to get worse before they get better. I'm still an Aaron Glenn believer, and I was a Justin Fields believer too. But after this performance and how he's been playing, I don't know, starting to turn heads. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what happened from week 1 to now. I hope he can get it together. He's in the NFL. I'm not. I liked Justin Fields when he was on Chicago. I thought he was better with Pittsburgh. Thought they kind of helped develop him, and like I said, I just don't know what's going on with him. So, like I said, it's going to come down to the wire. If Fields is going to struggle like he did, they got to consider taking him out.
Statistically, he's always been very inaccurate. That's the other thing.
He was holding on to the ball too long. Wasn't making the reads. And even when he did make the read, he wasn't throwing it. So, like I said, he was sacked 9 times, Dennis. That's a lot. It's ridiculous.
Can't have that.
But, like I said, we'll see as the season goes. I still like Aaron Glenn. I'm still a believer in him, and we'll see. Things got to get worse before they get better. And, But is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching Sports Shack. My name is Brandon G. Natali. Along with Dennis Tui. Hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.